Since the beginning days of hip-hop, the crew has always been important. It's the symbol of strength in numbers, from NWA to Quality Control, or A Tribe Called Quest to the Lox. It's undeniable that the crew is essential in hip-hop. There's nothing bigger than crew love. From the slums of Shaolin, Wu-Tang Clan introduced a new style of hip-hop, combining their love of music with their love of martial art flicks. They created a movement spewing street tales with lyrical precision and supreme mathematics over mesmerizing samples. Wu-Tang ain't nothing to be f***ed with. Wu-Tang is made up of an eclectic ensemble of artists, each with their own style. Individually, each artist is incredible, which makes Wu-Tang one of the toughest crews that hip-hop has ever birthed. Repping mostly Staten Island made the crew stand out, since there hadn't been many rappers from that borough of NYC to achieve widespread commercial success. But Wu-Tang had a plan of attack, and they were determined to take over the world. Wu-Tang released their debut album in 1993, Enter the Wu-Tang. 36 Chambers was perfectly crafted, giving birth to a new gritty sound that was impossible to ignore. The album had instant classics like Cream, Protect Your Neck, and a self-titled track by Method Man that immediately launched his solo career. RZA, being the main producer of Wu-Tang branded albums, rose to be one of the most sought-after producers in hip-hop. His creative way of using sounds like fight scenes and kung fu flicks, and sample of piano riffs and heavy bass lines over hard boom-bap drum patterns is unmatched even today. With the success of their debut album, the group began to get individual record deals and solo albums began to churn out of the camp one right after the other as they quickly began to take over the rap industry. The Wu-Tang logo was also hard to ignore, as it became a stamp of certification on each project released by any of the crew members. The Wu-Tang W is probably one of the most recognized symbols in pop culture today. With the fame of the Wu-Tang logo rapidly on the rise and Power Wu's vision, the group launched Wu-Wear. It was the first clothing company backed by rappers. At its peak, Wu-Wear had several stores in multiple cities. Today, the logo is still being licensed by major brands like Gap, H&M, and Urban Outfitters. With over 40 million records sold, a clothing line, movie scores, and international fame, nothing is bigger than the influence that Wu-Tang has had on pop culture. It's Wu-Tang forever. Back in the early 90s, rap labels were mainly focused and established in New York and LA. The isolation left a lot of the big cities in the South to create and distribute music throughout their own neighborhoods. In 1991, Wesley Snipes starred in the film New Jack City. Brian Baby and Ronald Slim Williams were inspired by the CMB, or Cash Money Brothers, from the movie and decided to create a record company, naming it Cash Money Records, in honor of the fictional crew from the film. They worked with lots of local acts and sold music from the trunks of their cars. But it wasn't until they joined forces with one of the city's up-and-coming music producers that they began to really make noise. Manny Fresh linked with Cash Money in 1993, infusing the popular New Orleans bounce sound into the label's projects. As they began to gain popularity in radio play, one of their artists would introduce Baby to an 11-year-old rapper named Baby D, who Baby would later pair with another youngster named BG to form a duo called BGs. The Cash Money team would start to market to a younger audience around this time. They also signed a popular local rapper by the name of Juvenile. In 1997, with Cash Money gaining recognition beyond the South, they would put several of their newer artists together, forming the group The Hot Boys. The Hot Boys consisted of BG, Juvenile, Baby D, who now went by Lil Wayne, and newcomer Turk. Their debut album, Get It How You Live, sold a whopping 300,000 records. This success gained the attention of Universal Records in 1998, and Cash Money Records brokered a groundbreaking deal with the label. The Hot Boys' success was spun into individual success with albums like Juvenile's 400 Degrees, selling over 4 million copies. BG's 1999 release had the single Bling Bling, which is one of the biggest records of the 2000s and became a common household slang term for diamonds. Cash Money Records went on to release more successful solo and group projects that propelled the popularity of the South, and even more specifically, New Orleans. Although the days of Hot Boys are past, Cash Money Records has had continued success with Lil Wayne, as he became one of the biggest artists in the history of rap music. Wayne has had well over 2 decades of success as a solo artist. Lil Wayne's record label, Young Money, is a spin-off of Cash Money and has produced even more widely successful artists like Drake and Nicki Minaj. Cash Money's legacy may be 30 years old, but this crew has yet to let up on the industry and seems to continue to grow.